Hello, everybody. Dee and I have really enjoyed the last couple of months, and we've done a lot of travel all over the district and especially our camps. We've been in Camp Pomme de Terre, Camp Wonderview, and in Nebraska. We just got back yesterday from Nebraska Camp in Covenant Cedars, and I want to just say how impressed I've been and how blessed I've been with the staff, the directors, the worship leaders, the speakers. Everybody in our camps have done a tremendous job this year. I'm so proud of this district and so proud of the effort that all of you give in taking care of our kids and planning camps. One of the conversations that I've had over and over again in all of these different places in the district is what it's like to be in transition. What it's like for me and my family to be in transition, what it's like for you and your families to be in transition. And one of the things that I noticed last week in reading the scripture as I was reading Genesis chapter 45 is that Joseph tells the story of his own life from God's perspective. And the reason I bring that up is because I don't think that we can really move on into the future. I don't think we can really get God's insight into the possibilities of our future until we're able to look back and see God's hand at work in our past. And if there is anything that is clear about Joseph's retelling his story to his brothers, who, of course, you know the story, betrayed him and sold him into slavery, is that Joseph tells his story, not from his perspective so much, even though it's his story, but he's able to tell his story from God's perspective. God is always the hero of Joseph's story. Joseph isn't the center of the story. God is the center of his story. And I think that when we're struggling with transition, when we're stuck sometimes in our lives, we have to get that perspective right. One of the things that Joseph does is that he doesn't cast himself as the victim, but rather he sees himself as an instrument of God in the world. The other thing that Joseph does in this retelling of his own story is he gives the most compassionate rendering of those who hurt him. That's an amazing part of that story. The other thing that Joseph does is that he makes God the hero and he glorifies God in his story. And in our little blog that we do this week and in the e-news, I talk about this story a little more. And my hope is that all of us will think about the story of our lives and we will think about God's perspective of those stories. Neuroscientists tell us that we don't retrieve our memories like a computer retrieves data from a chip. We don't store memories. Actually, we provoke memories and we rebuild and we recast and reform our memories every single time we bring them up, so to speak. And to me, what that means is that there is great potential for either redemption or destruction in the way that we remember our lives and the way that we tell ourselves the story of our lives. And so maybe that'll be helpful this week as you think about your future and your past. Meditate on that passage from Genesis chapter 45. And let's make sure that we're always making God the hero of our stories. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in October in St. Louis, and we'll see you there with the rest of our Gateway District family.